Hi, and welcome to the Virgin River Cafe Rewatch podcast. Good morning, Gigi.
Good morning, Tracy. How's it going?
It's going pretty good. So, are you having a good day so far?
I am having a really good day. The weather's fabulous. It's not too hot. It's not too cold. Just what the doctor ordered.
It's a relaxing weekend because I know you finally get your weekends free to yourself so you can do your own
Yes,
thing, which is nice.
yeah, very nice. So we're doing good. We're doing good. How about yourself?
Good, busy, getting things done.
Living with a
Everybody's
team.
home. Everybody's home, so not a lot gets done, but we try. Sometimes
You
you
mean
just want to procrastinate and do nothing, which is
you, you
fun.
you mean everybody all of a sudden needs you to do something for them?
Yeah, always. That's mom. That's mom for you. Mom knows.
Uh,
Mom knows
yeah,
where it is. No, mom knows what it is. Mom knows where to find it. Yeah,
yeah. That's what I heard.
yeah. That's how it goes. Welcome to my
Eh,
life.
yes.
I
Well,
sometimes look forward to Monday when everyone goes to do the things they need to do and leaves me out
Well,
of it.
and how we put it, everybody is out of your bloody house.
Yeah, it's kind of nice. So once in a while I get that. But, I have a lot to do. I have a lot of little things to do. Things I do for myself, things I do for other people. It is what it
You do a
is.
lot of things for other people.
That is my role right now. So here we are, and we are finally into season 5. First
Yay!
episode of season 5. It's crazy. Can't believe we've been doing this for 4 seasons now. I mean, that's a lot of episodes.
Mm-hmm.
That's 42, is it? First 3 seasons had 10, and 4 and 5 each have 12. So yeah, we've done 42 episodes. Good job, Gigi. Sticking it
Mm,
out with me. Look at you.
wow. Mm.
Uh, I know
I
in the
wasn't sure
beginning
about
you were
this.
a little skeptical. You're
I,
like,
I,
oh.
I wasn't sure about this. I'll be honest, folks.
I'm like, we're just gonna sit and talk about it. That's really all we're gonna do, And if 100, remember in the beginning I said if 100 people listen, I'll be
Yeah.
happy. And
Yep.
I looked at the numbers, and we've had over 5,200 downloads.
Wow.
Which
That's
I
impressive.
mean, the reaching 5,000 was. I mean, reaching 100, I was thrilled. I was like, "Wow, that's awesome!" 100, And then we reached
Mhm.
1,000, and I was like, "What?" And 3,000, I'm like, "Huh?" Yeah, but
Thank you,
5,000.
folks.
Yeah, so
Thank you,
thank
folks.
you for continuing to listen to our shenanigans, because that's
Exactly.
really all it is. We're just two
It's
chicks
our
just sitting here shooting the
it's
shit
our
about Virgin
opinion.
River.
Exactly. Our opinion of how it goes.
Agree, disagree, fine, cool, whatever. It's
Yeah,
just, as I always
it's
say,
all in fun.
in my humble opinion, this is what I think. And
It's all in fun.
sometimes I don't know what the heck I'm talking about, and that's okay too.
That's all right. That's why it's just
It's fun.
light entertainment.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, we try to stay on track. We try to bring some information. I mean, granted, we do go off the rails every once in a while, but we try to stay in
Well,
the vein of on track.
yes. Well, sometimes certain things get our goat, and we have to
Yeah,
express our
that's
opinions.
fine.
But it's about
That's what it's all
is
about.
mm,
Well, so as we always do, what have you brought today for your caffeinated beverage to the cafe?
my caffeinated beverage today is a pretty strong stuff.
Oh.
So with I I went with a double espresso today.
Oh, I feel that.
Just double espresso, no sugar, just some heavy cream, not
I
even
just
half and half. Heavy
God, I
cream.
can't. I just it's so bitter like that. I don't know how you do that.
I just needed it.
Like
I
I need
just
to enjoy it. Like
didn't,
I need it, but I
just that I
need to
didn't
also
enjoy it.
no, I it's just bitter. I mean, I need sweet, you know?
No, I like sweet too. Don't get me wrong.
I know you
It's
do.
funny. I love sweet, but I don't necessarily like it in my coffee.
Yeah.
And which is very interesting. And I think part of it is the fact that the way the women in my family drink coffee or cafe, because we're French,
Yeah. See,
they
you
don't
grew up
add.
somewhere else, so that's I mean, I'm like East Coast, US.
So we didn't put sugar in the coffee.
Right. See, that's the
So
thing.
between wine and cafe, are two things that we tasted since we were young. So
Mhm.
like when we
Good they start
do
you early on these things. It's
they
very
start
important.
exactly. So and also rum. Three drinks: rum, wine and cafe, where they have. I've been tasting this stuff before I think I could walk.
Mm-hmm.
To be with you, I mean, like they put a dip of it on my tongue as a child.
Yeah, they used to put it on your gums when I was little. They'd put, if you were teething, they'd put like
Right.
hard alcohol on your gums. And I'm like, was that just to knock you out so you didn't cry about it? I don't know.
I remember, now this is on my dad's side because they would do this for every kid. When a kid was probably about, and they only started doing this when a kid was about 3, 4 months old, they would start putting like a cap full of rum in the bath water.
Really?
Yeah. So a kid may have a bath, once a week, twice a week, depending on what it was, and they would put a cap full of water, a cap full of rum in the water,
Mm-hmm.
and so that was sort of their.
And that's a little different. You're not drinking it, you're bathing
Right,
in it, you
right.
know.
They're bathing, right. So, but I'm talking about for instance, the wine. We would almost have it almost every day,
But see,
where
that's an international thing. I mean, that's not
where
uncommon
it,
in a lot of
right,
other countries.
drink in moderation, and I don't drink anymore, so it's not a big deal. Um, and my drink of choice is tequila, and
Mm,
I'm not talking cheap stuff. I'm talking about the good stuff.
okay.
This cheap stuff gives you a headache.
Yeah.
That that's for when you're in college and you don't know any better. When I was in
And when you
college,
don't
I
have any
knew
money to buy the
and
good
even
stuff.
when I didn't have any money, I was taught early on that the cheap stuff isn't worth it. So if you're gonna buy tequila, buy the good stuff. Um, so I've never drunk bad tequila. I'll be honest with you,
Mm.
because I grew up in a family where no,
You only knew the
that
best.
was yeah, exactly. So, but besides that point, so yeah, I drink. I like my coffee strong, as somebody had quoted. I like my coffee like I like my men, strong and dark.
Okay.
So, to
Tell it
some
like it
degree,
is.
exactly. So anyway, this is why Preacher brings out so many
Mm.
interesting things in me.
Yes, you like him. Yes, tall, dark, and handsome. We know. That's
So
funny.
anyway, yeah. So that's what I had. So what are you having?
Well, I went with the espresso too, but see, I do
Ooh, look at you.
my hacked iced coffee because I don't want to pay $7 for an iced coffee down the
Tell me about it.
street. So I cheat and I get a triple espresso over ice, add a little water and cream, and then I add my flavor when I get home. And that's like half price. So that's what I do. But I
Good, good.
started with a double espresso and I'm like, it's $1.45 or something. Or, whatever, $1.20, whatever it is. It's so cheap
Hmm. Hmm.
for for a single espresso. Why not get three? I mean, I'm actually getting better coffee and stronger coffee for a much cheaper price. So,
Yeah. I agree with you.
yeah.
I
So,
agree with you.
so I guess it's espresso day for both of us.
All
Yay.
right, here we go. Now let's
All
start.
right, now let's get started.
So, folks, this is season 5, episode 1, A Second Chance.
Okay, so
Hmm.
Mel makes a big decision. Jack draws a potential business investor. Preacher and Paige wonder if they're on the same page. A council meeting stuns hope. A lot happens in this episode. Now this season is a roller coaster ride. It's gonna hit every single emotion. I'm warning you now if you haven't seen it or if you've seen it or haven't seen it in a while. Uh, it's a lot. There's 12 episodes. They split them into 10,
Yeah.
which I believe premiered in September. And
Hmm.
then 3 months later, they ended the season with 2 special Christmas episodes that premiered in December of that year.
Hmm.
So, yeah, it was, and they were just dedicated to Christmas. I mean, after the first 10 episodes, they needed some holiday spirit because Lord have mercy.
Yeah,
So,
I agree.
yeah, it was a lot. So,
Yeah, I agree.
oh my. Well, when we left our friends in Virgin River, we were at the cabin where Vince was holding Paige, and Preacher had shown up and tried to rescue her. He was supposed to wait for Mike. He called for backup, but maybe he felt that something was happening and he needed to step in a little sooner. There was a scuffle and Preacher was knocked down. We saw some blood, and then he got up as Paige grabbed the gun, was holding it to Vince, and then Preacher came and whacked Vince on the head with a log. And crazy times. As we return, Vince is now knocked out. Preacher walks over to Paige, grabs the gun. She's crying. She almost shot him. And
She should have.
yeah, I know. And she's like, Preacher, we can't trust the cops. And he's like, no, Mike is on his way. We can trust him. She goes, just take me to Connie so I can get Christopher and I can go. Preacher's like, calm down. And Mike shows up and he's like, Preach. He's like, we're okay. I knocked him out. He tried to kill us both. So Mike is there with the cavalry. Now, of course, Vince starts moving around. Mike grabs him. He says, Vince Lonigan, you're under arrest. And he handcuffs him. So Vince Logan is under arrest. Handcuffs him. And he's like, for kidnapping, attempted murder. And he goes, what about them? What about them? Because he's pissed. He got caught. And he's like, she killed my brother and he hid the body. It's like, oops. And Mike looks at Preacher like, And Vince is like, ask him. It's like, uh-oh. The cat's out of the bag. Sorry, guys. Mike looks back at Preacher and Paige is, of course, holding on to Preacher, crying. And oh no, we're gonna have to untangle that mess. So
that's a drama by itself.
It's the next morning, and this is post Jack finding out the babies are not his. So we are back at the Airstream, and he's done some more work. So now we've got the Airstream is on one side. We have a fence in the back with like a cute little window. Looks like an outdoor shower. There's a fence on the front. So it's very private. Someone that would come and stay there would have a private view of the river. There's a nice patio, and Jack is outside chopping wood. Jack. Now, he's out there just hacking his way through wood.
Yeah, he's got to let go of some of that frustration.
He's got to blow off some steam. So Mel walks outside and she's like, "Hey," and she's like, "Are you okay?" And he's like, "Yeah, I just thought I'd get a head start." And she's looking at him like, chopping wood isn't exactly going to be part of the glamping experience. He's so funny. He's like, it's not so glamorous. I thought that was so cute. So she's kind of like walking out to him tentatively. And she's like, are you upset? And he's like, no. And she goes, well, you tend to chop wood when you're upset. Like, she doesn't know this by now. Like, he doesn't know this, that she knows this by now. She'll call him on it because that's what she does. Oh, my goodness. And he's like, I'm not upset. I just couldn't sleep. And she's like, maybe because you're upset. And he goes, oh, you're funny. And he just continues to chop wood. She goes, so this isn't about Charmaine? And he's like, nope. She goes, well, we should at least talk about last night. Because she's very concerned. And he's just like, She's like, maybe without the axe? Oh, my gosh. I mean, he is just chopping away like crazy. Like, he's just not stopping. He's like, how about you talk and I'll chop? And she's like, babe, come on, really? And he's like, what is there to talk about? He goes, I'm not the father of the twins. End of story. And she's like, that's it? And he's like, that's it. He's like, are you upset? She goes, yeah, of course I'm upset. She lied to you. To us. For months. She's like,
exactly.
And then, she's so pissed because it's so true. She goes, I was nice to her despite all of her rude comments and literal attempts to break us up. She's like, I mean, who does that?
Yeah,
who does that?
Exactly.
Oh, it's like, so annoying.
It is.
And he's like, I am truly sorry for dragging her into our relationship. I mean, he comes right up, stops chopping, he walks right up to her, like 6 inches away. And he's like, but it's over. And he's like, all right, it's over. He goes, I don't want to dwell on it. And she just kind of looks at him. He goes, all right. He goes, so this is what I want to focus on. This is also a great photo they've used
Mm-hmm.
before in different things, where he's kind of like got his arm around her and they're standing there looking out onto the river.
Right.
And it's really a good photo. And he's like,
Yeah.
I want to get this place up and running for our family. I mean, they finally can just focus on each other. He's like,
Yeah.
you, me, and he points to her tummy, and he's like, her? Oh, they have a baby. They
They
have a
do.
her.
They
And he
do
gives
have a
her a
her.
kiss, and he's like, right? And she's like, yeah. He goes, we can do what we want now. You can leave the clinic if you want. And she kind of like takes a deep breath, and she's like, well, I mean, I don't want to leave, you know. He's like, we can handle it. That's all I'm saying. So they kind of agree that that's what they're going to do. Give a little kiss. He goes, so it's all good. She's like, I still think that you can't not talk to her. She's like, you barely said anything last night. And Jack kind of takes a deep breath. And Mel's like, she's getting released from the hospital. Why don't we pick her up and you can tell her how you feel? And he almost loses it. He's like, Mel, we're not picking her up, all right? Like if Karma's coming to get her, like she said last night, then let Karma damn well pick her up.
Mm-hmm.
Like seriously, he's so done. He's like, as far as I'm concerned, we never have to see that woman ever again.
Yeah.
And he goes back to chopping wood very vigorously. Very, very vigorously. And Mel's just like, okay. I'm just gonna let that one go.
Let it go.
I'll let that one go for right now. We're going to put a pin in that, and we're going to come back and talk about that later when we're less upset. Oh, my goodness. So we're back at the cabin, and now we've got the sheriffs and the cops, and we have an ambulance, and Paige is sitting on the step, and the EMS lady's putting a blanket around her and looking at all the evidence, figuring things out, and Preacher and Mike's like, they're about to take him in. You know, I got to follow for the booking. And Preacher's like, thank you for your help. And he goes, by the way, about what Vince said, what about his brother? Well, Mike's like, it's no mystery. The kind of guys Vince and Wes are, the sheriff's department has no reason to think that Wes is dead. And as long as that's the case, nobody's investigating anything that Vince says.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, probably for the best. He goes, so we have your statements, and charges against Paige have been dropped. Thank God.
Mm-hmm.
So you two are free to go. Preacher's like, thanks, buddy. And Mike is off. Now, Paige is like, she didn't hear that whole conversation. So she's standing there staring at Preacher going, well, like, okay, so now what? What happens now? He's like, you don't have to run anymore. And she's just in shock. She just hugs him, and she's crying.
Sigh of relief. Mm-hmm.
Right? It's like crazy town. So we are on the road, and it looks like all the cop cars are leaving town, leaving where the cabin was. They're all heading back. And we see Bert's truck, and he's driving on the same road. And he's just listening to some music, drinking his coffee. He sees a guy on the side of the road, and he pulls over because he's a tow truck guy, and he's just that guy. So he pulls over behind this guy's truck who's stopped on the side of the road, and he gets out with his coffee, and he's like, hey, you need some help? And he's like, oh, the damn truck ain't got a spare. He goes, I can tow you into town if you want. He goes, hold on, because the guy gets a phone call. He goes, I gotta make a phone call right now. And he goes, oh, yeah, no problem. And as Bert he looks underneath the guy's car, and he sees a spare. And he goes to look at it, and he actually cuts his hand. And the guy comes back from the phone call, and, you know, Bert, as he's getting up, he hears the guy coming. Poor Bert cut his hand. And the guy actually holds his phone call, and he comes back to where Bert is, and he's like, hey, what are you doing? And he's like, your spare's right there. He goes, it's flat. He goes, I can drive it into town and fix it for you. And the guy's like, okay. So he's getting a little help, but the guy's a little sketch.
A little suspicious, yeah, a little sketchy.
Little bit sketch.
That cut is going to come back to haunt.
Oh, yeah.
Words.
100%. Wow. So Mel and Joey are on the phone, and Joey says, I've been gone for 12 days. And Mel's like, I know. And Joey's like, first the Charmaine drama, and now you're leaving the clinic? Wow. And Joey's like, well, I mean, I guess, take a break from nursing and, I've got to focus. She goes, I'm just doing it. I always wanted to take a break when I got pregnant, but I'm just doing it 7 months early. Now, where Mel is right now is that suspension bridge.
The bridge, yes.
Oh,
the one you want to go on.
I want to go there. It is such a view. It is gorgeous.
It's gorgeous.
I know you're not going to do it. That's fine. It's heights. You're not going to do. It's cool. I'm there. Heights. I don't care. I'll deal with it.
I've got to figure out a way how we could go on this hike without me going on.
We just don't have to go across. It's fine. No problem. We could do that. It's fine. I'm gonna go. I'll go on it. I'll see the sights, and then I'll come back, and we'll keep going. It's not a problem. So, Joey is asking Mel, "Is Jack on board with this? With you leaving the clinic?" And she's like, "Well, it caught him by surprise at first, but he's supportive." She goes. Joey's like, "You haven't not worked since you were 16 years old. What are you going to do with your time?" And Mel's like, "Honestly, I'm figuring that out, but I already have a to-do list." And of course she does. And Joey's like, "Of course you do. I mean, you do have a wedding to plan," which is very true.
It's Mel. What can I tell you?
She goes, "Yeah, and a baby to get ready for." And Mel's like, "One thing I was thinking, do you remember how Mom handmade some of our baby clothes?" And Joey's like, "Yeah, those little dresses with the lace trim." And she's like, "I still think I have mine." She's like, "Me too." And she goes, "Well, I was thinking maybe I could do something like that." She's like, "Oh, she would really love it if one of us carried on that tradition." And Mel's like, "Yeah." Now, this scene where Mel's just sitting there looking out over, that's also they use that a lot in promo stuff. It's so funny how they never did until season 6. They did not do a single photo shoot. They never did any promo stuff. They just used screenshots and screen captures and whatever was available as part of the show.
And I find that kind of lazy. I hate to say that.
No, it's true. They feel they didn't need to. I mean, the show was so popular and they didn't need to do any. They literally did nothing. It was organically popular. I mean, you take a show like Bridgerton, and every second thing has a tie-in as a product placement, and
honey, yeah.
I mean, they've got candles and they've got lotions and
oh yeah,
even Stranger Things, tons of stuff. But
I mean, things from stationery to pens, anything that would do with that era.
I mean, Bath and Body Works has like germy gel with like Bridgerton names on it and candles and things. It's crazy.
Even like the tea houses have all sorts of Bridgerton teas and
they
whatever.
They tie in so much.
So much, yeah. There's so much to tie.
And for whatever reason, I mean, Virgin River until season 6. They didn't even have merchandise. Like you could, people would make stuff and sell it like online, but it wasn't like official Virgin River TV show, Netflix affiliated.
Well, people had
stuff.
To get their fix from somewhere. So if they weren't supplying it,
people make it themselves.
People were creatively making it and selling it. So that was it.
Yeah.
And I think they started to realize they were losing out on that until
they lost out on 5 seasons. If they would have done that in season 1, just if they would have had like 3 things, a mug, a t-shirt, and like, I don't know, a baseball hat, they would have sold out all the time.
They know the show is popular, but the thing about it is when they started to realize people were making money off of it, and I'm not talking a little bit of money.
No, people are making a lot.
Money.
Oh, yeah.
People making serious money from this stuff. Then they went, we lost out.
See, if it were me, I would have done a set of things and changed it for every season, theming it for the season.
Yep, that's you.
It's like a marketing thing. I mean, it's easy. You have like 5 products and you say season 1, season 2, and still keep them available because people find the show brand new and they're, oh, that's really cute, or the nice new t-shirt for the new season kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But they finally have stuff, and it's so pricey,
Mm-hmm.
but it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad that they finally do have official merchandise. But there's so much stuff out there. I mean, I can literally make my own stuff because I know how
I
to do.
agree.
I can do that. But
Yes. Yes, you are very good at that.
yes, I'm very crafty. So if I wanted something, I could make it myself.
Ladies and gentlemen, when you talk about crafty, that's an understatement with this woman. Oh my God, she can blow your mind with some stuff. You,
Well, my years
I,
of doing events and creating everything for the events were like,
yeah,
good
yeah.
training.
As I always say, your brain scares me in more ways than one. I love you. You're my best friend. Oh, that brain goes in places where I go, oh.
Yeah, I'm crafty, so I can create all kinds of fun things.
Yes, you can.
Oh my. So Mel is just enjoying this view, and she is thinking about making baby clothes, which is just so cute. She has no idea how to sew, so that'll be fun. Then, as she says, the first thing she has to do is learn how to sew.
Yeah. Yeah, well, she lives in a town with 5 women who are part of a sewing circle, so I think she'll get some good tips.
Yeah. So she tells Joey that one of the first things that she's going to need to do is go by the clinic, get her things, and say goodbye to Doc. That's going to be tough. I mean, Doc was shocked she wanted to leave, but to actually have to say goodbye, ugh.
Yeah.
And so, of course, Joey's asking, is he okay with you leaving? And Mel's sort of chuckling. She's like, he's definitely not. She goes, oh, this is not going to be fun. She's like, no. So Joey wishes her luck because she's going to need it. So now we are at Brady's, and he is in bed. His phone's chiming. He's doing a nice big stretch.
Fine, gentlemen.
Yes, well, we have a nice little view of his chest. It's nice. 4 missed calls. Oh, my goodness. So he puts his phone down right away because Bree's walking in fully dressed and ready to go with a cup of coffee for herself and a cup of coffee for him. And she's like, I'm heading out. Here's something to remember me by. And she hands him a cup of coffee. And he's like, hey, grabs her hand. What's the rush? She sits down. She's like, I'm pressing charges against Don. He's like, today? And she's like, this morning, I'm not wasting any time. And he's like, wow, I'm proud of you for standing up to that asshole. She goes, thanks. And I found an incredible rental house online. Because she's kind of been still living above the bar, which is fine. But he's like,
It's a room. It's a room. It's...
Yeah.
It
was temporary. She needed to figure out what she was going to do. Now, remember, she got that job, and it was a year commitment. So she had some things she needed to figure out before she decided, like, moving. So now she's at that place. And what she tells Brady is since said asshole found her at the bar, she'd rather not cross paths with him again. So she kind of, doesn't want to be there if she can avoid it. So the best thing to do is go find herself a place. So... And he's like, are you sure you still don't want to move in here? And she's like, no. She goes, this I don't want to rush. As she gives him a little kiss before she gets ready to leave. She goes, everything else feels so right. I'm getting on with my life. Your name is cleared. We're in a great place. He's like, yeah, we are. Kissy kiss. I don't think she's leaving. He says, as much as I'd love to stay and consummate this great place. You gotta go. You gotta go. She's like, I gotta go. And she gives him a kiss. She's like, bye. So his phone chimes again. He's like, for the love of God. Call me now. That's Melissa Remember her?
Yeah, Melissa.
The boss, yes.
The boss lady.
She wants to talk to him. He throws the phone. He's not even going to talk to her. It's like, she can wait. So now we're at Hope and Doc's. And Denny is in the kitchen. Looks like he's cooking up maybe some pancakes or something. And
Boy
Hope,
loves them.
Yeah, he likes to cook. And Hope walks in and she's like, Denny, you don't have to make me pancakes. And he's like, oh, I thought you liked my pancakes. She goes, I do, but you don't have to do all the work for me, Let me make you pancakes. He's like, what else do you need? And she makes him sit down. Some fresh squeezed orange juice, and it's full of vitamin C and lots of other healthy things and minerals. And Doc walks in and he goes, "Oh, Vernon, you get squeezing." Hands him the oranges. She's like, "Protein. You need some protein." She's like, "Do you like bacon? I think we might have some bacon." I mean, she's like frantic. And he's like, "Okay, I know Doc told you. And I appreciate the gesture. I do. But Huntington's isn't keeping me from making things like pancakes. Yet. Vitamin C and protein won't stop the disease from affecting me eventually. But as with any neurodegenerative disease," Doc tells him, "a healthy lifestyle, hydration, and good nutrition can make things easier. And I still think that we should go to that center." And he gets a little pissy with Doc, and he's like, "I've been to those centers. They help me accept that I'll eventually experience a decline like my mom," because it's genetic, and that's where he got it from, his mom. He goes, "And I'm okay with that. All I want is for everyone around me to be okay too." And they kind of like look at each other, and it's like, okay. It's like, how did the conversation go with Lizzie last night? Because that's when he told Lizzie. And he's like, "Well, kind of like I expected. I think I overwhelmed her." And Hope's like, "I'm sorry, Denny. I know you really like Lizzie." And he goes, "Yeah, I'm really sorry." He goes, "I screwed up you getting the aid that you wanted." And she goes, "Please, there's plenty of people who'd love to take care of me. We can ask Mel. She owes me 7 months of work after just up and leaving the clinic." And Doc's like, "Well, I haven't given up on her yet." She goes, "Is Cameron staying?" And he goes, "Well, that remains to be seen." And then there's a knock at the door, and it's Lizzie. "Morning." And Denny's like, "Good morning, Lizzie." You know, now they're all awkward with each other. He's like, "What are you doing here?" She goes, "Well, Hope still needs an aide, right?" And they kind of look at each other, and he shakes his head. Yeah, like, okay, she's going to give it a try. So Bree is at the bar up in her room, and she's speaking to a woman on the phone who says, "Bree, I'm so sorry to hear that you're going through all this." She goes, "Thanks. You know, I figured since we go way back, it wouldn't hurt to give someone that in the DA's office a heads up that I'm filing charges against him." And she goes, "Who is that again?" She's like, "Don Shepard." And the woman's like, "Donald Shepard from your old firm?" And just as Bree kind of holds the phone to herself because she hears Jack walk up. And he's like, "Hey, sis." And she's like, "I'll be down in a sec." Because I guess, he's always checking on her now that she's there. And he's like, "Okie dokie." So he heads back downstairs. He shuts the door. She gets back on the phone, and she's like, "Bree." And the lady's like, "Is it Donald Shepard?" And Bree's like, "Yeah, you know him?" And this is when it gets interesting. She's like, "We have multiple sexual assault charges against him."
Ooh, and now things are getting juicy, people.
She goes, "We're going to trial in 2 weeks." And Bree's like, "That soon?" She goes, "Yeah. He's been forcing potential witnesses to sign NDAs. It's non-disclosure agreements. That way, like he tried to get Bree to sign, that they can't talk about anything, so no one could say anything bad about him." Now, it sounds like some people have signed, but some people haven't. And so that's why the case is going on, because they still have people willing to talk. She's like, "Obviously, you should still press charges, but the case we have right now," she goes, "could really benefit from more women willing to testify." And Bree's like, "Well, I think I can help with that." So she's just going to basically like join in with all these other women.
Yeah.
It's just one more nail in that man's coffin, right?
The interesting thing is, whether or not he wins or loses his case, he's already tarnished because no law firm is going to want him.
Nobody's going to want him. He may even get disbarred because of his actions.
Yeah. So this should be interesting.
Yeah, it should. So Bree comes downstairs, and Jack, of course, is behind the bar doing his bar duties, whatever that is. And she's like, "Hey, sorry about that." He's like, "No worries." And she pours herself some coffee. He goes, "Judging by the look on your face, I assume you were talking to Mom?" Because remember, she doesn't get along with the mom, and he doesn't get along with the dad. So that's why they tag team, and they take care of the parent that they actually get along with. And she's like, "Oh, no." She goes, "That was a real estate agent." And he's like, "Oh." She goes, "I'm moving out." And he's like, "Really?" She goes, "I'm a professional, Jack. I can't live above a bar the rest of my life." And he goes, "I mean, no offense, but my clothes are starting to smell like PBR and roasted cauliflower with romesco. And he's like, is that a bad thing? She's like, well, not really, but. And Preacher this is a great scene. This is such a good scene. So Preacher walks in and he's like, good morning. And Bree's like, hey, because he looks rough. And Jack's like, looks like we both had a rough night. And Preacher sits down and he's like, they're like, yeah, what happened? And he goes, well, I helped Mike arrest Vince, as Jack gives him a cup of coffee. And the two of them, their eyebrows go as high as their hairline because they're just like, what? Because that's that everyone's been looking for Vince. He's the one that shot Jack, and getting him caught has been like a huge thing. And they're looking at him. So Bree's like, Jack, they got the guy who shot you. And I mean, he's looking at her, she's looking at him. And Preacher's like, attempted murder and 2 counts of kidnapping. And that would be for Christopher and for Paige. Wow. And they're just like, no way. And they're like, thank you. And he's like, how's Paige? She's like, relieved. And he's like, you went through hell and back for her. I mean, Jack's like telling Preacher, like, you did so much for this woman who he's never even had a relationship with her. Crazy. He goes, yeah, well, I guess you'd do the same thing for the right woman, as Preacher chuckles. And Preacher's like, so tell us about your night, because everybody said they had a rough night.
Oh, yes. Here's where things are going to get interesting.
And Bree's like, yeah, you said you had a rough one too. And Jack's like, oh, nothing. It doesn't matter. And Preacher's like, no way. Come on, spill it. Bree's like, you can't like not say anything. And he kind of like, well, I feel like I went through hell and back for the wrong woman. And they're like, you're not talking about Mel. And he goes, oh, God, no, of course not. No. He goes, Charmaine kindly informed me that I am not the father of the twins. And Preacher's like, oh, Jack. And Bree, the look on Bree's face is perfect. She's like, what? And then she's like, I never liked her. I love her. She is the best. She is the best. She has the best one-liners of anybody on the show.
You know, a nice thing about younger siblings are they don't give a rat's scrap at this point.
Right.
Because they're the smallest one. They get away with murder anyway. So.
Yep. But I swear, Bree has the best one-liners.
Yes.
And then he gets a text message and he throws his phone on the bar and he's like, can you believe that? And they both look at the phone and it says, Jack, we need to talk, please, from Charmaine. And he goes, like, what could we have to talk about? And Bree's like, not a single thing. And he's like, exactly, thank you. And he goes, well, that's it. And Jack's like, right? And he goes, bullet dodged, as he grabs something and walks into the office. And Preacher and Bree are looking at each other like, wow. Like, wow. I can't even.
Nobody saw that one coming.
No.
Nobody saw.
No.
Nobody saw.
Unbelievable.
We the audience didn't see that coming. So far less.
I think the audience hoped, but to have it actually happen is so totally different.
Yeah.
There was always hope that somehow that those babies were not Charmaine's. Like, please, please, please. There was more like begging and pleading and, bartering, trying to make that happen. So it's good that it finally did. So now we're back. We're back at Hope's. And Hope is struggling over her laptop. She's working on something, and she's really having a tough time. And Lizzie walks in, and she's like, okay, so I have the list that Doc left. Says here we need to take an hour walk every day and then 30 minutes of Sudoku. And Lizzie looks confused. She goes, I'll Google whatever that is on our walk. And she throws the book on the table. She goes, and then arts and crafts, fun. She goes, oh, we're not doing any of that. Hope is like, mm-mm. And Lizzie's like, we're not. And Hope looks at Lizzie and says, Lizzie, one of the reasons I wanted you to be my aide is because I know you can be rebellious and irresponsible and won't force me to do some of the ridiculous things I need to. And Lizzie's like, but Doc said, and Lizzie's just looking at her like, have you lost your mind, lady? Oh my God.
A rebellious teen and a rebellious senior.
Right?
Oh, that
What a pair.
is just.
And she's like, Vernon is a man of science. I am a woman of faith, and I have faith that I'm going to be fine. That's enough for me. As she goes back to her laptop. And Lizzie's like, are you sure? And she's like, positive.
I'm
Oh,
sorry.
my God.
I just love Hope. She gets on my last nerve, but there are things that she does that I think is just, I could
She's
see
a
myself
character.
saying this stuff.
She's such a character.
Oh,
So
God.
apparently she's working on a little thing here on the computer, and she's like, right now I'm trying to set an agenda for the town council meeting tomorrow. She's struggling, though. She goes, I've been out of commission since my accident, and the community garden opening is coming. And she goes, okay, but when you're done that, we have to go. We got to do some of these things. And Doc said, she goes, well, nothing bad comes from a little exercise. So she's like, fine. Like she's going to relent, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So Hope says to Lizzie, it might not be my place, but if you want to talk about Denny, she goes, do you want to do Sudoku? So I guess they agree to disagree. And so Lizzie's like, should I do anything else right now? And Hope is like, yes, nothing. She goes, okay. So she sits down and starts scrolling on her phone, Googling Huntington's disease. She's trying to get some information so she can learn more about it. So now we're at the clinic, and Mel shows up. I love this green dress that she's in. This is one of the favorite dresses I see her in. It's really cute. And she has a box with her, which I'm guessing is to gather her belongings. So she shuts the door, she comes in, and she hears conversation, and she's like, don't fall into a trap. And it's Doc and Cameron. And he's like, listen, don't even think about her. She's like, oh, I don't want to walk into this. And Mel clears her throat, and they're like, Mel, you can't resign. He goes, I told her last night. The whole situation has gotten completely out of hand.
Tell me about it.
And Cameron's like, this is all my fault, so I should be the one to leave. And Mel's like, no, you can't leave. And he goes, it's fine. I haven't been here that long. It's my fault, you know? So, and she kind of cuts him off, and she's like, no, I quit. And Doc's like, enough, like both of you. He goes, Cameron, give us the room. And he wants to talk to Mel. And he's like, Mel, and he holds her hands. And he's like, I don't want you to go. I mean, Hayek told you last night, he can go. We'll be just fine. She goes, Doc, I know you want me, but you need him. You brought him here because of your eyesight. He goes, my eyes are just fine. He goes, I know, but God forbid something happens with them. And then I'm on bed rest, and I mean, what is the town going to do? He goes, we'll find another doctor. He goes, so you barely got Cameron here. He goes, he's not right for this job. She goes, you said the same thing about me when I first started. And he's like, yeah. And you made me realize how much I needed you in more ways than I ever knew. She goes, well, you know, I am pretty great. He's like, you are. He goes, Mel, we've gone through so much together. And she goes, oh, Doc. He goes, are you sure? And she shakes her head, yes. She's like, yeah. And he puts his head down.
God, this is killing this man. It's like losing a daughter.
I know.
Like
he's like, I'll miss you. And she's like, come on. It's not like I'm leaving town.
Tell me about it.
He goes, you could even go fishing, maybe. He goes, yeah, you better watch out for Hope. She's got a bone to pick with you about leaving. And he gives her a big hug. She goes, yeah, I'll go talk to her later. He's like, Cameron? And Cameron's like just around the corner. He's like, you are staying. You want me to stay? And he's like, it's best for the clinic. And Cameron's like, Mel, how about you? She goes, it's best for me too. And then they hear the door open, and it's Bert, and his wife is helping him walk through the door. And she's like, Doc, we need help. And Doc's like, hey, Cameron, get the door. And he rushes. And he said, come on, Bert, let's get you to the exam room, because he is not in a good way. And Mel's just standing there, because now she doesn't work there anymore. And so she's not a part of it. And so the two of them are like, hold on, we got you. Don't worry. We'll take care of it. We'll figure out what's going on. All right. I know. Goodness. So now we are at Emerald Lumber. And Brady says to Melissa, I didn't realize I was supposed to be on call. And she goes, well, that was our fentanyl delivery and you weren't here. And he goes, Melissa's like, well, it's not like I was asking you to wait around for FedEx. because she's pissed. She's pissed at him. She's like, there was an issue and you were unavailable to manage it. He's like, yeah, if you don't like how I'm doing my job, fire me. And she's exasperated by him. She's like, look. She takes off her sunglasses. Before we met, I heard about you from Calvin. He warned me that you were too arrogant to be trusted. So I did some digging and came to my own conclusion. And he's like, what's that supposed to mean? One of 5 kids, father who was an abusive drunk, mother who left when you were 8. You had an uncle who looked after you, but he was a petty criminal. So it's no wonder you followed in his footsteps. I know you've been dealt a rough hand. And he's like, how do you know all that? She goes, I can give you a better life, Daniel. All you have to do is ask for it. She's like, my business is expanding as she has him walk with her. I found a new way to clean money. I need smart people I can trust in a venture like this. It will only benefit both of us. And at the same time that they're talking, these guys are pulling tires from the back of the truck that Bert was driving.
The one that Bert ran.
And inside the tire, as they drill into it, they find bags of fentanyl. And Brady's like, is that the shipment? And Melissa's like, and plenty more are on the way. And he looks down as he sees them pull bags of fentanyl out of the tire.
Wow, and that's little bit of fentanyl.
It's a lot.
That's millions of dollars of fentanyl.
That probably is. So now Paige is meeting with Connie, and Connie's got the truck set up at a park. It has like a little like picnic area, and it's right by the lake. It's really nice.
As I always said,
they have the best locations, right?
Tell me about it. This truck goes to the best locations in this town.
It really does.
So,
it really
when
does.
When you having your coffee and your sweet, you sit there and relax. You're like, oh, I'm not going anywhere.
Right? Yeah. So Paige says to Connie, I can't thank you enough for keeping the truck going. She's like, it's been fun. It even helped me get a little closer to my niece, which is really great because her and Lizzie work together.
It's true. Yeah.
She's like, this truck is really good at bringing people together. So this little powwow is Preacher and Paige and Connie and Christopher. Paige is like, oh, I'm so glad. And Connie's like, I'm so grateful. She goes, no one should have to go through what you've been through. She goes, you're due for better days. And Paige is in tears. And she goes, and young Christopher, have you tried our new triple chocolate chip cookies? And he's like, Mom? And he's like, you can have one. He goes, I make no promises. And he goes over to get some cookies. Paige looks at Preacher and she's like, this feels so surreal. Because Connie went with Christopher. So now this leaves Paige and Preacher to talk by themselves. And Preacher's like, this could be a whole new start for you and Christopher. You've both been through hell. And she's like, yeah, that I dragged you into. Preacher, I'm really sorry. He goes, I wanted to be there for you. And Christopher, I care about you both very much. And she's like, we care about you too. I care about you. I hope that I didn't mess anything up with the woman that was there with you at the bar. And he's like, no, not at all. She's Julia. I just started seeing her. She's like, good, that's good. And they're kind of looking at each other. She goes, well, I guess I better go. I got a life to start over again. Because how many times? He's like, Paige, wait. We can start over too, if you want. She looks at him and it's like, interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
So Jack is back at the Airstream and he's got some kind of table out with like blueprints maybe and tools and like he's working on something. And Nick shows up and he's like, hey there. And he's like, hello, Jack. And he brings Melissa. Oh, no.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
So Nick's like, Melissa and I figured we'd stop by and see how you're doing. And he's like, you hurried out of there pretty fast the other night and you wanted to make sure everything was okay. And he goes, yeah, it turned out to be nothing. And literally. So they're like, oh, good. So Melissa chimes in. She's like, Nick's been telling me so much about this operation.
Oh, this is not good.
That the two of you are cooking up. He goes, I had an idea.
Oh.
And Jack's like, I was thinking about it, Nick. I figured, we could put another 3 or 4 Airstreams out here. And then I'm thinking off the budget, I came up with, we could set up 7 or 8 of those tent cabins. And he's like, really? And he goes, yeah, we still have to do a septic tank for private bathrooms, and I want to price out outdoor showers too, but I think it's doable. And he goes, wow, that really sounds great. Melissa chimes in. She's like, what if you could dream a little bigger, Jack? And he's like, what do you mean? And she goes, well, I happen to have some capital of my own. I mean, why have 5 trailers where you can have 15? He's like, you could build a separate clubhouse with amenities, draw even more people in, more revenue. And Jack's like, well, yeah, I appreciate the offer, but, it might be just a little more dream than I have. He goes, I was just looking to make some extra money, not be a glamping mogul. Everybody starts laughing. And Melissa's like, well, think of how good it would be for the town, because that's where it's going to get him. Anything for the town, anything for the people, anything to bring more is going to pull him in. And she knows it. He goes, if this place really took off, think of how good it would be. He goes, don't you want to share the beauty of Virgin River with as many people as possible? And Nick is like, there's no better guide than Jack Sheridan. And Jack's sort of thinking, and he's like, And then Nick's like, oh, I brought a little something for you and your expanding family, as Melissa says, and Nick runs back to the car. And it's 2 baskets. A baby basket. One for twin boys. It's blue with 2 blue bears. And one pink for a little girl. And Melissa chimes in, I couldn't imagine a better place to raise them than a better place than this to raise them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my. Bittersweet.
Yep.
So we're back at Hope's, and Mel is stopping by. Now, this is going to be a tough
greeting at the door. It's so classic.
Isn't it?
It's just, it is so Hope.
Hope opens the door. Not hello, how you doing? Hi, Mel. It's what the hell, Mel? And Mel's like, Hope. And she goes, look. It's like, she goes, look, Doc and the clinic are covered, which is what you hired me for in the first place. And I know that the cabin is part of the deal, so I'm more than happy to start paying rent, or I could even buy it if you're willing to part with it. She goes, this isn't about workload or lodging, and you know it. She goes, I know, it's personal. And it was a really hard decision for me to make, but Doc understands. She goes, now, I just feel like that at this point it makes sense for me to prioritize my high-risk pregnancy and my family over my job. She goes, that's funny because I never thought nursing was just a job for you. She goes, but it sounds like you've made up your mind. And Mel kind of looks at her. So we're back at the clinic. Now, Bert was brought in. They're checking him out. Doc's like, well, your blood pressure is low, but your eyes are pinpoint. Bert's like, I started feeling kind of woozy, and spacey or something. And his wife is like, I came home from the hairdresser and he was like that. And Doc says, well, did you hit your head or maybe take some medication? And Bert's like, nope. Cameron's like, Doc, a word, please. Like, he has an idea what's going on. And Doc's like, okay, I'll be right back. So Doc and Cameron go in the other room. They shut the door. And Cameron's like, it looks like he's having a drug reaction. And Doc's like, Bert's no drug user. He goes, come on, you can never know something like that. He goes, I know Bert. Cameron's like, I know pharmaceuticals. And so do you. Cameron's like, lethargy, wooziness, pinpoint pupils. He goes, I think we should do a urine test just to be sure. And Doc's like, okay, fine. But can you go make a pot of coffee? And Cameron's like, just because Mel's not here doesn't mean I'm the nurse now. Cameron, I swear that man doesn't know how to not put his foot in his mouth. He's like, and for the record, I don't think it should be a nurse's job to make the coffee either. And Doc looks at him. He goes, it's not for me, Cameron. It's for Bert. Cameron, a stimulant should help. And he's like, yeah, I'm sorry for overreacting. And he goes, yeah, you might want to work on that. Because that's what made Mel leave in the first place.
Yep.
Oh, my. So hopefully Bert will be okay. So now we have Preacher showing up at the dojo studio talking to Julia.
Well, Julia's busy cleaning her studio.
She is. And she's like, Preacher, it looks like I'm too late for another class. She goes, well, I had to wrap up early. One of our younger orange belts had a little accident. So I've been disinfecting the equipment for the last hour. So she's like, how are you? How'd everything turn out with Paige? And he's like, she's fine. And he's like, things are looking better for her and her son. And Julia's like, I'm glad. Preacher kind of looks uncomfortable. And Julia's like, you still have feelings for her, don't you? He's like, he goes, yeah, I'm sorry, Julia. She's like, I thought you said I didn't have to worry about her. And he's like, I know. I thought that everything between me and Paige was in the past. But, we just had this really intense. She goes, okay, I don't need the details. And he's like, right. Yeah, sorry. He's like, I really enjoyed getting to know you. She looks pissed. He goes, I just wanted to be honest. She's like, well, I am honestly disappointed. And he's like, I didn't want to hurt you. He's like, I should go. I should go.
Yeah.
She didn't even say anything. And finally, she's like, preacher? He turns back. He goes, I hope your relationship with her is everything you want it to be. She's like, I really do. And he kind of smiles and just walks away. And that's the end of their relationship.
Yep.
Crazy.
Tell me about it.
So we are back at Jack's bar. And we've got some of the ladies from the sewing circle. And we have someone new. So Joellen is there, and Tara and Liddy, and like I said, someone new who's holding baby Chloe. And just as Mel walks in, they're discussing their work, and Joellen says to Mel, what are you doing here? And she's like, in Jack's bar? And they all kind of look at each other, and they kind of pipe in, Mel, have you met my sister Eva? And she's like, oh, hi. Like, they're trying to, like, change the subject, because they all know what's going on. Like, they're all acting very squirrely right now.
Welcome to small town living.
Oh, my gosh. And Mel's like, oh, I've heard about you from Portland, right? You're the oldest sister. And she's like, oldest and the youngest together, because she's got baby Chloe on her lap. And she's like,
that's right.
Yep. So she's like, well, welcome home. She goes, well, I'm not sure I still call Virgin River home. She goes, this place might look like a screensaver, but the only thing that's changed since I was a little girl was this bar. She goes, before there was Jack's, you had to drive 5 miles for a decent cheeseburger. She goes, and I use the term decent loosely. She goes, everything else, exactly the same. And Joellen's like, well, it might not be where you live now, but it'll always be where you come from. And then Liddy's like, I taught Eva here how to sew when she was a little girl. She took to it beautifully. And Mel's like, oh. And Eva's like, apparently if you don't use it, you lose it. And Joellen's like, so you say. And Eva's like, you love you ladies, really, just not much of a sewer. She goes, Mel's like, I don't really know how to sew either. She goes, I'm better at stitches than I am at sewing for some reason. And Eva's like, oh, you're Nurse Mel. Okay, I've heard a lot about you. She goes, you work at Doc's clinic, right? She goes, well, I mean, I did. And everybody looks at her like, what? And Tara's like, you left the clinic? What? And Liddy's like, whatever for? And Mel's like, I just felt like it was time for a change. Like, really? That's what you're going with? And of course, Joellen looks up at her like, really? Is that what you're going with? And Mel's like, I'm actually looking forward to some downtime, which is why I'm here. And they all look at each other. And then she's like, I was hoping that you ladies would teach me how to sew. And Liddy's like, oh, of course, dear. Pull up a chair. It's not that hard. So she grabs a chair and she pulls it over. And she's like, okay. And Tara reaches over, hands her these like quilting squares. And she's like, you could take these two. And she goes, so how long does something like this quilt take? And Joellen's like, not long, as she smiles. And everybody's looking at each other like so bizarre.
I know, and Tara's face looks like,
yeah,
she's disappointed. She's not sure what's going on.
Well, then she's like, the look at her face is like, oh my God, you lady. She goes, it's a baby blanket. Like she finally just can't hold it in. And then Mel looks at all the ladies. And then Mel looks at Joellen and she's like, I'm sorry, Mel. I'm a sieve. I can't keep a single secret. It's just blah, blah, blah. She goes, 2 secrets if you're someone who's expecting and engaged, says Liddy. And Tara's like, congratulations. And Joellen's like, double congratulations. She's like, thank you, Miss. And Eva's like, some things never change.
Yep.
Oh, my
Welcome
goodness.
to a small town.
I know,
people.
right?
Welcome to a small town.
So Jack is already home, and he is staring at the blue basket with the 2 bears in it, and he just doesn't look happy. And Mel walks in, and she's like, hi. And he's like, hey. And she's like, guess who's the newest member of the sewing circle? He goes, oh, wow. He goes, I'm so proud of you. She goes, oh, God, you didn't. You see what I did there? He goes, that's such a dad joke. He goes, well, I am in training. And then he's like, how are you guys? Are you hungry? And you could tell he touched her belly. And she's like, okay, yeah, thanks. So he opens the fridge, and he's like, oh.
Do they have in that refrigerator other than bear? And well, they don't have bear anymore, but
food?
Whatever. Food, yeah.
Yeah, there's actually food in there.
Okay.
There's actually a whole bunch of stuff in there. And she's like, what do we have here? She goes, we were so cute. This is funny. She's like, we were so cute to think that we could keep the baby thing a secret for long around here. And she goes, somebody give this to you for the twins? He goes, yeah, Nick's sister, Melissa. He goes, what are you going to do with it? And he's like, I don't know. I thought maybe I would, donate it to charity or something. Now, he's gotten out a loaf of bread. He's gotten, looks like some tomato and lunch meat. Like he's going to make her a sandwich. She's like, why don't you just give it back? He goes, well, he's like, I don't know. I thought I might maybe donate it to charity or something. You think Goodwill will have a gift basket department? And she's like, well, why didn't you just give it back? He goes, no, I didn't want to get into it. He goes, well, the whole town is going to know soon enough, and so you don't have to be embarrassed. And he's like, I'm not embarrassed. Why would I be embarrassed? I didn't do anything wrong. She's the one that needs to come clean to people, not me. He goes, I spend more than enough time compensating for Charmaine. So now we're back at Preacher, who I think has the nicest house of anybody.
He does.
Wouldn't you agree?
Does. I would agree. And that kitchen, I can't, I love that kitchen.
Well, he's a chef, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it looks like that him and Paige have made dinner, and she's spooning something over something. And he's like, oh, what have you done? She's like, well, it's an experiment. It's a polenta cake with a huckleberry compote. He's like, wow. He goes, yeah, I thought if you were going to make dinner, I'd better up my game. He goes, I'm glad I did because that bronzio was delicious. He goes, well, thank you very much. He goes, well, we make a pretty good meal and a pretty good team. And she looks at him kind of like, he's like, are you okay? She just looks very uncomfortable. He goes, what's wrong? He goes, oh, no, Paige, look, if you're not ready, she's like, oh, no, it's more than that. And she's like heavy breathing. She's like, before I left Wes, my entire life was consumed by him because that's how he wanted it. He made sure that I knew my house was because of him, my car, my clothes, and all of it was because of him. So when I finally left, all I wanted was to not see him anywhere. And that's what made Virgin River so special, until it wasn't. The only thing I wanted was a home, but I don't have that anymore here. It's like it was the last thing he took from me. She's like, I really wanted to be able to get over that for you. She goes, I know I don't have to run anymore, but I can't stay.
Oh.
And you can tell his eyes are getting a little misty. And he's like, so you're going to go? And they grab each other's hands. And she goes, he's like, you and Christopher? And she's like, you could come with us. And they're holding
crazy?
hands. Yeah, I know. And they're holding hands now. And he's like, I wish I could. He's like, this is my home. You deserve a home to love as much as I love it here. She's misty too. Sad.
Uh-huh.
It's like he's not leaving and she can't stay. So it's not going to work. I'm sorry.
Tell me about it.
I'm so sorry. So Lizzie gives Hope something to eat. She's like, I wanted to make you a breakfast burrito, but you didn't have any tortillas. So I used pancakes. And you didn't have any bacon, so I used hot dogs. And Hope is like, thanks. And she takes a bite of it reluctantly. And she's like, that's actually good. And Lizzie starts laughing. She goes, are you still working on your agenda? She goes, yeah, those take a long time, huh? He goes, and this computer's giving me all kinds of problems. And Lizzie's like, well, let me take a look. And this is when the reality of what's going on with her comes to light. Because she can't spell, the grammar is wrong, a lot of the stuff doesn't make sense, it's very jumbled. It's a mess. It's a hot mess.
Oh, that's an understatement.
Yeah, and she can't show up with something like that. And she writes on there, this is stupid, I hate everything, hate, hate, hate. And she goes, I guess it deleted or something, and now it's just this. And Lizzie's looking at her, and she's like, okay. She goes, well, computers do that all the time. She goes, yeah, computers suck, right? And she's like, totally. She's like, let me help you rewrite it. I'm a fast typer, too. So maybe if she dictates it, she can help her put it together and it can sound like it's supposed to and not a hot mess. Oh my. So we're back at the clinic and Bert is there with Doc and he's like, I feel great. It's the damnedest thing. And Doc says, well, you're looking pretty good. He goes, there's one thing we got to talk about though. He goes, we got your test results back. And he's like, you tested positive for fentanyl. And Bert's like, and Doc's like, that's some pretty dangerous stuff, Bert. He goes, I'm not judging you for taking it, but... And he's like, I don't take fentanyl. And he's like, I swear on my Reddington fly rod. He goes, if you didn't, then how did it get in your system? He goes, could I have picked it up somewhere? Somehow? He goes, well, there's something called fentanyl exposure. He goes, if you touch some and say rub your eye or whatever, then it can get into your system. And he's like, but fentanyl, it's not just laying around. He goes, tell me again everything that you did yesterday. So then he starts recounting. He goes, okay, I went fishing by myself. And before I went fishing, I tried to help this truck with a flat, cut my hand trying to change a flat tire. He goes, let me see this. So Doc looks at his cut. That's probably the source. So we're back at Hope's house. And Lizzie looks like she is loading the dishwasher and Denny walks in. Well, they're very awkward with each other right now.
Yeah.
Look at him. He walks by like he's trying to be invisible. It's kind of funny.
Exactly.
He's into the refrigerator, pretending, and he looks back at her. And he's like, hey. And she's like, hey. And he goes, where's Hope? He goes upstairs getting ready for the town council meeting. And he's like, cool. He's like, oh, so awkward. He goes, look, Lizzie, I want to apologize for keeping my diagnosis from you. Being totally honest is really important to you. And so if I'm being honest, I like you a lot. She hasn't even turned around to look at him yet. He goes, the last thing I ever wanted to do was hurt you. When I came here looking for Doc, I didn't expect to find someone like you. So at the very least, I'd really like us to still be... She's like, stop. He's like, what? She grabs him and she gives him a kiss. Aww. And he just smiles. And he's like, are you sure? Because I told you I don't have a future. She's like, so I thought about all that. And then I realized I don't care about any of it. I like you. I like you too, a lot. So can we just focus on right now? And he's like, uh-huh. Another kiss. Goodness. So these two characters play like 19, 20 years old. He's 31. I think he's 31 this year. And she's 29, which is, it's so interesting that they play like 10 years younger. But keep in mind, the show has been on, she's been on the show since, whatever, second season, first season. I don't even remember when she started, but it's been 6 years. So she was much closer to her character's age when she started, but so much time has passed.
Tell me about it. 6 years. 5 years.
Yeah, at this point, 5 years.
And we're 5 years as far as the series.
And they're 6 months. If you figure Charmaine got pregnant like right when Mel came to town, which we've determined is somewhere in February, right? Of Virgin River timeline. And even if they're 2 days and 10 days and 1 week and whatever, and each season is about a month or two, which is crazy. But she just said that, remember when Jack called the ambulance when he found out that the twins, weren't his? He said about 5 months pregnant. So that means they've only lived 6 months since the beginning of the show. So it's 5 years. This is 4 seasons, so 4 years, but only like 5 or 6 months. It's funny. Yeah, my daughter was like, and they got engaged. Isn't that a little fast? And I'm like, it is in Virgin River time, but it took 5 years. It took 4 years for us. So no, it's not at all. Like, why did it take so long? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, so funny.
Ah, yes.
So we have more scenery shots. I love the transition with the scenery shots. It's great. It's so awesome. So we're outside of Preacher's house, and Paige and Christopher are there. Now, Christopher has really grown up because remember, he was in a little bit of certain seasons and then he was gone for a while and then he came back. So he's gotten very tall. He was like 10 that season. Remember the Lumberjack games? He was about 10. So he's probably 12 now, although, with kids, unless they get super, super tall, they can, fudge
Yeah.
the age a little bit. But
Mhm.
so they're outside of Preacher's, and Preacher's like, "Whoa, look at that hair, kiddo!" Because remember his mom used to dye his hair blonde to camouflage
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
Well, now he's back to dark hair again, so he gets to have his natural hair color. And he goes, "Mom said we don't have to dye it anymore." And he goes, "Wow, you look sharp." And they both kind of take deep breaths. And he's like, "I'm gonna miss you, Preach." And Preacher kneels down. He goes, "I'm gonna miss you too, buddy." He goes, "But you've got so much to look forward to." He goes, "Can we still FaceTime?" And Preacher's like, "Anytime." He goes, "I'm there for you." And he goes, "You better get in the car, bud." And Preacher's like, "Hey, should we do our thing?" And they have this like special handshake. And Paige can't even look at it. She has to like turn
Mhm.
around for a second. So they do the really cool handshake. And then Christopher gives him a big hug. And he goes, "Hey, Christopher, thank you for hanging out with me so much."
Mhm.
Because he was like his father. He goes, "It really meant a lot to me." Christopher's
Yeah.
crying. Aw. So she's like, "Okay, buddy, get in the car." So she's crying and Preacher's crying. She goes, "I didn't realize this was going to be so hard." And Preacher's like, "Yeah." He goes, "Not that I thought it was going to be easy." And she turns around to look at him. She goes, "When I was with Wes, I really did believe that all men were like him." She goes, "But you showed us both what a good man is." She goes,
Hmm.
"That there's good out there." She's like, "Thank you." She gives him a kiss on the lips.
Oh,
Really?
please.
Like a goodbye? Like that's all he gets? She goes, "Goodbye, Preacher." And they hold hands. And they're staring at each other. And he's like, "Bye, Paige." And she touches his face, touches his chest, and then walks away. Everybody's teary.
Mhm.
They get into the big truck. She's finally free. And they wave goodbye. And off they go. Even Christopher gives them a little salute with their U-Haul behind him.
Poor Christopher.
I know.
This kid has been through hell and back.
Well, finally he can have a life again. She just needs to start over. And unfortunately, that's the last that we see of Paige. She's gone.
Mhm.
Like we don't, as far as I know, she's not coming back. That was it. They've written the character off the show. Like I said, very different from the book. So it's like
Yep.
we gotta find, everybody's hooking up. So we gotta find somebody for Preacher. Clearly,
Tell me.
Julia wasn't gonna work out. Paige is gone. I
Mhm.
mean, Preacher needs somebody. Maybe this next season he'll find somebody.
We'll see.
Poor Preacher.
We'll see.
So Mel's back at the cabin, and she pulls out this box of stuff that she's looking through. She's starting to dig through, and she pulls out a blood pressure cuff, and she's kind of looking at it and kind of daydreaming. And her daydream is her as a little girl in a hospital. And you can hear announcements in the background. And she sees a nurse coming out of her. This is during the time that her mother was in the hospital dying. And the nurse comes out of her mother's room and she's like, "Oh, hi, Mel." And the little girl's like, "I want to see my mom." And she's like, "Well," she goes, "you can absolutely see your mom, but first I need a favor." And she looks at her blood pressure cuff and she's like, "You see, I dropped my blood pressure cuff and I think it's broken." And she's like, "I need your help to see if it is. Can you do that?" And she's like, "Well, what do I have to do?" She goes, "Oh, it's super easy. Here, have a seat." So they sit down. She was basically stalling to keep Mel out of the room for a little bit because maybe the doctors were talking or they were doing a procedure or something that she didn't need her to see. And so she was kind of distracting her a little bit. "Take this and slide my arm through the cuff." So she's having Mel do that to the nurse. She goes, "Okay, now take the Velcro thingy right there, not too tight." She goes, "Nope, it's perfect." She goes, "Okay, this is a stethoscope." She goes, "You know what you do with this?" She goes, "You listen to your heart." She goes, "You're so smart." And she tries to peek into the room. with her mom. And so the nurse continues to try and distract her. And Mel's just remembering this. So she comes back to reality. She puts the blood pressure cuff in the box, closes it. She's all teary-eyed now. She kind of takes a deep breath. It's like, is she really going to be able to give up being a nurse? Like,
yeah.
God,
it's been part of her life for so long.
It's been her identity for so long. Like, the reason she became a nurse was because of her mother. So this has been in her since she was very, very young.
Yep.
So we're back at Emerald Lumber, and Brady's working, and Melissa walks up, and she's got someone with her. She's like, Brady, I got someone who'd like to join the team. And the man goes, hey, Brady. And it's Jeb. And Brady's like, Jeb? And he's like, what are you doing? And Melissa's like, Jeb here expressed an interest in chipping in more. I'd like you to introduce him to the full operation. And he's like, I don't think Jeb understands the full extent of, he goes, I know about the night shift, okay? I was going to talk to you about it yesterday. He goes, I need this, okay? My family needs this, because he figures it's more money. He goes, no, I can do this on my own. He tries to tell Melissa. And she's like, excuse me? And he's like, and Jeb's like, Brady, come on. I said I don't need the help. Brady's trying to explain to Melissa. He doesn't want anybody else involved because there's a chance that someone could get hurt. Mm-hmm. And someone could get in trouble. Someone could get caught. And if he's doing this sort of secretly on the down low, trying to bring Melissa down, then he doesn't want to get anybody else involved with it. Yep. So Melissa reminds him, she's like, well, your screw up yesterday implies otherwise. She's such a bitch. Mm-hmm. And he looks at Jeb and he goes, will you please listen to me? And she's like, it isn't a suggestion. So Brady's like, fine, as he walks past Jeb. And he goes, Brady, come on. And Melissa knows he's going to do it. Like, it's a given.
Yep.
So we're back at the bar, and we've got Jack behind the bar with Preacher. Both of them are wiping off glasses. It's like they just need to keep themselves busy. Mm-hmm. And Mike is sitting at the bar with a plate of food in front of him. And he's looking at Jack and Preacher, and he's like, come on, you guys look pathetic. He's like, how is it that one day after we bring the man who shot Jack to justice, you guys are both looking like someone stole your dog? He goes, yeah, he's right. And of course I'm right, okay? He goes, the Giants are playing the Dodgers tonight. Who's in? And Preacher's like, I guess I'm in since I'm the only one with the TV. And Mike's like, yes. He goes, and I'll buy the pizza. Jack? And he goes, sure, whatever, I'm in. Mike's all excited now. Like, he's trying to help the guys.
He's trying to get them out of the funk they're in.
Right? Oh, my gosh. So now we've got the town council meeting, and Lizzie and Hope show up. And on the panel, we've got a few people, some familiar faces. And as they're walking in, Hope is like, thank you, Lizzie, again for your help with the agenda. He was like, couldn't have done it without you. She's like, happy to help. And so at the front, they're like, good to see everyone. And she's like, grab a seat. This shouldn't take long. She goes, I warn you, these meetings are usually a total snooze fest. So good luck staying awake. She goes, oh, I can sleep with my eyes open. That's how I got through high school. So Lizzie sits down. And at the table at the front, we have Miriam and Nick. There's other people there, but those are the two that we're familiar with. And they're looking at Hope like, what are you doing here? And Maria's like, Hope. She goes, here's the agenda for the, she goes, oh, you already have an agenda. And she's like, sorry, Hope. It's nothing personal, but you've been gone for weeks. She goes, well, you don't have to explain. I'm fine with someone else doing and she sees the list. And one of the things on the list of things they need to cover is replacing the mayor. And she looks at the two of them like, what the heck? She's like, you're not talking about the agenda. She goes, not all of us are in favor of it. She goes, you're talking about replacing me as mayor. Uh-oh.
And things are about to get dicey, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. Very dicey.
Very dicey. So Jack is sitting at a stop sign waiting to head toward Preacher's house, and Preacher calls and he's like, yo, Preach, I'm headed your way now. He goes, there better be pizza with you. He goes, those Giants better be kicking your butt. He goes, all right, I'll see you soon. So Jack notices a dad with 2 sons, and it starts tugging at his chest.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was invested, and the dad's saying some really nice things about the boys and to the boys. It looks like they came from baseball practice or something, and it's like he had that. He had that for a minute, and then it got taken away.
Yep.
So Mel is at Jack's bar, and she's just kind of sitting there by herself. She's got a book and a cup of coffee, and she is desperately trying to sew.
The expression on her face.
Like, what am I really doing? Like, I don't know if I'm doing this right. And Ava shows up, and she's like, you know what they say about sewing and drinking alone? And Mel laughs. And she's like, oh my God, sewing is no joke. She goes, I mean, I thought I could fix a rip in my robe, but apparently sewing silk is not for beginners.
Oh God, silk. My God.
I know.
What she's through.
And Mel's like, do you want to sit? And she goes, yeah. She goes, I'm desperate for some new energy. She goes, and Ava's like, when I come back here, it's a parade of the usual suspects who I haven't seen since high school, and it always starts with, so, what are you up to these days? And they both laugh. And Mel's like, so, what are you up to these days? And Ava's like, you're funny. And so Mel's like, so I escaped to Virgin River, and it sounds like you escaped from it. And Ava's like, yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not all bad. It's just being back here, it's so quiet. Mel's like, yeah. And Ava's like, and slow. It really gives you time to think. Mel's like, yes, it does. And Ava's like, oh, I hate that. Mel's like, you're funny. Oh, and Ava's like, you should know. Mom said so many wonderful things about you. She goes, how you helped her through some really dark times. And Mel's like, she was a really special woman. And Ava takes a sip of her wine. And Mel's like, And then Ava's like, so what are you escaping from? And just as she says that, she starts wincing like she's in a ton of pain. And Mel looks over at her and she's like, oh my God, Ava, are you okay? And just as she says that, she drops her glass on the floor and it breaks. So Ava's got a problem. So it looks like, remember when Bree was looking for a rental place? It looks as if she found one. Because we see her in the kitchen with lots of moving boxes. And she looks like she's unpacking some things. Oh, another yoga mat. Like, doesn't she already have a yoga mat? So she sees some wind blowing. She got a little nervous. And then all of a sudden, somebody throws something through her glass front door. It's a rock. And she gets all freaked out. And she grabs her phone. Who's she going to call? So now... Probably Brady. So now we see Jack. And he is knocking on the door of someone. Who could that be?
Who could that be?
Charmaine answers the door. Now, she has been trying to call him, and he has been dodging her phone calls, her messages. He didn't want to talk to her. It was probably that seeing those boys with the dad. It's like maybe he's got some unfinished business with her, and he's going to finish it.
That's an understatement.
Yeah. So she opens the door. She looks as surprised to see him as he is to see it to be there. And they just stare at each other. And that's it.
Okay, folks.
That's where we end it. So that is going to be a very interesting conversation.
No kidding.
That's going to be a tough one because, I mean, besides the fact that he was fully invested, I mean, as much as he was shocked and it was feeling like it was giving him a heart attack, and he was not ready to be a dad, he was warming up to the idea. He was finally accepting it and getting ready. And then finding out Mel's pregnant and getting ready for that too. And he was like, okay, I guess 3 kids coming, I'm going to be a dad. Like he was ready. He was getting ready. And then it's like the rug got pulled out from under him.
And we don't like when rugs get pulled out under us.
I mean, it's heartbreaking because I think as much as he didn't want that or with her, that it wasn't really her. It was the fact that he was going to be a dad to 2 boys.
Yeah.
That just tugged at his heart. And now it just got taken away.
Yeah.
And without any care, she just did that so badly. I mean, there's a way to give news like that,
Mm-hmm.
and the way she did it was probably one of the worst.
I would agree.
So this is going to be a very interesting conversation.
Hmm.
I
That's an
mean, he's done
understatement,
with
my
her,
friend.
but the feelings aren't done. Like all that sadness and
Yeah.
heartbreak is it's still there, and I hope he can work through it. Oh,
Well,
what a downer, you know?
and he has Mel, which is good
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
because she's always good at grounding him, and
And he
you
still
know
has his therapist will help him through it too.
that's true.
And
That is quite
Preacher and Bree and Hope and Doc. I mean, he's got everybody's there for him.
right. He's got a good
He's got a really good support system.
yeah, he does.
So, he'll be okay. It's just going to take a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my.
Anyway, folks,
Another episode.
till next time. That
Moving
should be.
on. All right. Well, thank you so much, Gigi, for spending
Well,
some
thank you.
time chatting about Virgin River.
You're most welcome.
All
Thank
right.
you, folks, for listening.
Yep. Thank you
Au
so
revoir.
much. And we'll be back at another episode next time. Bye bye.